War was declared on Israel more than 4 months ago. And no matter where they were or what they were doing, Israelis answered. 360,000 reservists deploying from all over the country. Thousands catching emergency flights back from abroad. And everyone dropping whatever they had planned to embark on a righteous war to destroy Hamas's murderers. For so many, those abandoned plans included their university degrees, forsaking the lives they wanted to build to take up a rifle instead. Now, as the war grinds on, universities work to find ways to ensure that so many young soldiers are not left behind while they carry out their duty on the battlefield, and to help reservists transition from warrior to scholar once more. I'm joined in studio right now by Professor Milet Shamir and Aviv Kurnis. Now, you're a professor with Tel Aviv University. You're a student there, and you're going to be telling us about, well, one, your experiences, Aviv, as someone who did exactly what I just described, and then you'll tell us a little bit about just how the universities are trying to help students. So Aviv, walk us through just what happened in your life on October 7th and how everything changed.
So on October 7th, I was actually in New York. I work in public diplomacy in an NGO called Israel Is. And we were supposed to go to college campuses and talk about Israel, promoting Israel's image, and everything, was stopped in the midst of what happened. And so at the beginning, I decided to stay and work through it and give the content about the war that we could have put out. And then the minute I was called for reserve, I was brought back to Israel. I flew the same day I was already on base. And then 2 months later, the academic year has started, and since then, I'm trying again, as you said, to mix the things of being also a combat soldier and a student in Tel Aviv University, which is trying to help us as much as they can in living both lives at the same time.
But of course, it's not easy. How have you been doing studies when you are, well, in the Air Force, but still deployed?
Right. So again, the thing that helps us most is our professors and our teachers in the university trying to record the lessons and answering our private questions during emails or whatever they can in order to help us. Also, every faculty has someone who is in contact with the reserve soldiers to hear if we need any help, and that is something that helps us, between the missions that we do on base to join some of the classes that we can and get in touch with our professors.
Well, I want to turn to you now to explain just how the universities are working to accomplish this.
So it's a huge challenge. I have to just give you the magnitude of the challenge for Tel Aviv University. It means, I think since October 7th, we've had 6,600 students who are deployed for reserve duty. By the way, a third of them women. And these are not, it's not just a number. These are our students from the classroom, from the labs. These are our sons and daughters, the sons and daughters of my colleagues. Tragically, just yesterday, we lost the son of one of the faculty one of the professors in the Faculty of Medicine. So our commitment is to our family, figuratively and literally. And we take this commitment very seriously. We work on 3 different tiers. Firstly, academically, we have to help people like Aviv, who's been serving for so long, to catch up and not just to integrate, but to succeed and to thrive. So we have mentorship programs for these students. We let them have we kind of lesser their load so they don't have to do as many courses as they were supposed to do. We have almost every faculty member at Tel Aviv University has volunteered to give extra hours in sitting with the reservists and making sure that they're catching up. We have learning centers where the students' peers are helping them catch up. We have weeks where we just put the semester to a halt and allow students from the reserve to catch up while their students are, the ones who are not from reserve are waiting for them to be able to meet the same level as they've gotten to. So that's one level. No less importantly, we try to provide psychological and emotional support, because when a student comes back from the reserve and he's back on campus, it's not like someone has flicked a switch in his or her brain and now they're ready for studies. They've been through a lot, they've seen a lot. It's hard to get reintegrated into so-called normal life at the university. So we provide psychological services subsidized for the students to help them transition in a way that will also kind of help them thrive academically. And finally, there's a huge challenge financially for these students. A lot of them lost their jobs while on reserve. Some of them continue to pay rent even though they weren't using their apartments. We put together a big emergency fund that gave scholarships to students to try to help them meet their needs. But what the university can do is limited, and we are very much hoping that we can somehow get additional help from outside of the university to make sure that these students are taken care of. We owe them such a huge debt. They deserve, our utmost.
Absolutely. Aviv, I want to turn to you because one of the things that Millette said is the challenge of flipping that switch from soldier back to student. Is this a challenge that you've personally experienced?
Yeah, 100%. As it's in the day-to-day life, as we've just said, even in paying rent, we're not in the apartment, we're living in Tel Aviv, a very expensive city, and we need to keep paying rent, and so the university comes and help us with, those things, not even academically, trying to provide that, transformation between being on the grounds and in the bases and going to the university, and so that kind of change is very, very important that the university is doing. And again, I'm always saying it to my friends that are on campus that for me, coming to the university, it's kind of like my break academically, thinking about our future and what can we do better. And so I think it's a mix, but it's a struggle, but it's our life, and we do what we can to A, win the war that we are in, and B, become better people for the future, and that's with the help of the university, thinking about what we can do better.
And Millette, I want to turn back to you again, because we're hearing about the things you can do for students like Aviv who have been taking some teleconference type of lessons. But what about soldiers deployed on the ground in Gaza? It's been 4 months already for many of them. That's an entire academic semester that's been lost completely. Is there a way to help make sure they don't fall behind?
Yes, so the semester has not been lost because Tel Aviv University, like the other universities in Israel, has put off the beginning of the school year 4 times. And finally, we opened the semester only in late December, the beginning of January, really. So most of the students by then came back from reserves. We still have around 2,000 who are away. But since the school year was pushed back so far, we're confident that at least a huge percentage of these students would be able to finish the semester and finish the school year as planned. What's important to understand, it's a very dynamic situation. So we built a program for these students, and then we find out that there are students who are going to be staying even longer than we had anticipated, and so we have to revise our program and kind of come up with new ways to help those who've been 2 weeks away or 28 days away or 2 months away, and so on. So we listen to what the needs are on a constant basis and adjust our own mechanisms for helping the students accordingly.
Well, I want to thank you both for being in the studio with me, for the work that you and the university are doing to make sure that students and soldiers like yourself can return to their lives. And I wish you also the best of luck in returning to those studies.
Thank you so much.